lot going on in the world of Alabama, even though we're not in season for football or basketball. Still a lot to talk about, including Mark Sears and his quest to get to the NBA. Is that going to happen now, or is that going to happen after next season? I'm going to play a clip of Nate Oats and talk about that. Also, Kalen DeBoer, in love with Alabama fans. I think he's been blown away by the enthusiasm and the interest that we have in Alabama football. We'll talk about that as well and more. Welcome to Elephant in the Room, part of Disrupt the Media. And this is Roll Tide Pods. Like and subscribe if you like hanging out with Jake Coker and me, Mick Gillispie. Just show us a little appreciation with a thumbs up, get in the comment section, and talk to us there. And don't forget that we're brought to you by mybookie.ag and rowback.com. All right, I don't want to hit you guys with anything too hard out of the gate. But as you can see, we're not in the same place right now. Jake's over there taking a time out from work and working with us. What's up, dude?
Man, ready for a good week, good little Alabama conversation.
Yeah, man. Well, let's get right to it then. So this first clip is Alabama head basketball coach Nate Oats. You might have heard of him before. And he is talking about the future of Mark Sears. So we'll just I'm going to play this for you, and then you and I can kind of chew on it a little bit.
Yeah,
Tell me if you can hear it.
Just kind of met with him, see where he's at. He's got 2 more workouts. He's going to work out for Houston, Milwaukee. We're going to get the feedback. He's going to go right up to Ohio State. He's got to work out with Milwaukee on the 29th. And, if he doesn't, if the feedback's not guaranteed contract, I think he'd love to come back here and try to win a national championship, but obviously his ultimate goal is to play in the NBA. And like we told him, if he gets great feedback that he's going to get a guaranteed contract, we're all happy and he stays in the draft. He's already graduated college. He achieves his lifelong goal of playing in the NBA. If, we feel like it's more like a two-way, then I think he's going to be back here and try to win a national championship here with him. So he's in a great spot either way. And, we're in a great spot too. Take a kid that transferred from Ohio. We're either going to get him back, try to win a national championship, or we're going to help him get to the NBA. So we're all in a good spot with him.
Look, I love the fact that he's like talking national championship. We saw that when we all bonded down at the mullet toss. He's talking national championship. That's his focus now, not Final Four. We're going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, the basketball team seems like we've got the expectations of the football team over the last 17 years. I mean, it's awesome to have that kind of excitement and that kind of, it lends yourself to disappointment. But when the standard is set right there, man, it's I think it means a lot more to the players, when they have to show up every day understanding that anything other than a national championship is a disappointment. I mean, I know when we were playing football, when I was playing, if you didn't make it to the playoff, that was just a ruined season. I mean, I think you saw that with some of the Alabama teams prior to the playoff era when they didn't make it to the national championship. Some of those performances, I think, like against Oklahoma and Utah, I think those guys, when they didn't make it to a national championship, were so disappointed and let down that, the Sugar Bowl didn't really mean a ton to them because it wasn't the goal that they set out to achieve, and so when you have that kind of mentality, it makes you work a lot harder and understand that, you can't make a lot of the minor mistakes that lend itself to a season that will not ultimately end up with a national championship.
When you got to Alabama from Florida State, was that something that you noticed right away? Like maybe at Florida State, it's like you guys won a championship there as well. So you won both places, but maybe the expectations were a lot higher at Alabama because it's all national championship or bust. Last year, Alabama won the SEC title. And you still feel like, hey, it wasn't the type of season that we should have had, right? Because we didn't win at all. There's no satisfaction at Alabama. Is that something that you noticed?
Well, I mean, in the state of Florida, there's so many distractions from an athletic perspective. I mean, you've got NBA teams, you have NFL teams. There's there's multiple different colleges with big followings. So the intensity of college football is not similar in Florida in comparison to Alabama. Alabama, you got Alabama, Auburn, and football is king. So, the focus on football is far greater than it is anywhere else. I think the pressure at Alabama is surpasses that of Florida State because that intent focus from the entire fan base, the entire state.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of getting at. I feel the same way.
I thought you cut out right there.
No, I'm just hanging back here, enjoying the. I want to see. Everybody wants to see you. I'm just like,
okay.
I'm like the bass player. Like I'm back here doing my thing.
Got it jacked up my focus there.
You know how like when you watch a band and you're like, then they'll say, hey, do you know who? I don't know. Who's Mike Utley? I don't know. He's the guy in the Jimmy Buffett. He's in the Coral Reefer band. Like you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy, right? And like Mike Utley's was really a big part of Jimmy Buffett's show, right? But he's the background guy, So I'm being Mike Utley right now,
Oh yeah,
McAnally hanging in the back.
No, I mean that intensity when I got to Alabama, it was definitely on a different level. And I mean, as a player, I really enjoyed that because you felt like you were doing something that was very, very important. Whereas, sometimes at Florida State, you're playing Maryland or NC State, and the student section is half full, and the stadium, isn't as loud as it would be for an Alabama game. Now, having said that, I can't overstate, and I know I've stated in the past, I love Florida State. It was a great experience for me, but there was definitely a difference in intensity when you suited up for Alabama and Tuscaloosa. You could feel it during the off season. You could feel it during the season. Alabama football is king in this state, and it's not that way in Florida.
What do you think about? We kind of got into this, and it's actually something that the guys at the next round have picked from our show, and even played and talked about. I said that Vanderbilt needs to take the money that they're getting from football and use it for football. And then if they don't want to do that, then maybe the SEC needs to look at them, kind of going somewhere else where they can be around other academic schools like Duke and North. You could put together a really fun conference with Wake Forest and Duke and those schools. But what do you think about Florida State being the team that replaced them or coming into the SEC?
Well, that would, a good trade for the SEC would be, hey, ACC, you can have Vanderbilt, and we'll take Florida State. I also think I've always said, if Florida State, if that campus was located in Pensacola and Florida State was in the SEC, you would have a hard time recruiting against that duo. Being a major college campus on the beach in the SEC, can you imagine a greater atmosphere than that? In college football or college athletics, as a student athlete, it'd be tough to pick somewhere else with that kind of atmosphere around you.
Yeah, well, I think that's where we're going. Look, the bottom line is this: is that conference football is changing, and right now you're talking about two big conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, right? And then you see the direction of like the ACC. Because of schools, you mentioned Maryland, they're actually in the Big Ten now, but back when you played, they weren't. You've got just too many Wake Forests and Dukes, and they have a whole conference of Vanderbilts. Yeah. SEC's only got one, and
when you play in the SEC, it makes you so much better because it's like that for in any sport. the competition that you have to line up against, the better it gets, the better you play. And all the rivalries in the SEC, the talent, everything about it, the intensity that comes with playing in that conference elevates everybody's play. And so when you played all these games all year long, the LSUs, the Auburns, the Tennessees, all these big schools with big atmospheres, by the time you get to the playoffs or, your conference championship, the playoffs, whatever bowl game, you've been there, you've done that, you've played against these great teams. So, I think when you play in the ACC and you play, at Florida State, you got Florida every year. But outside of that, you got Miami and Clemson. And Miami, when I was there, was not very good. They were talented, but they weren't the best football team. Clemson was really good at that point in time. And in my freshman year, they had DeAndre Hopkins and a couple of really, really good players, or a lot of really good players. But in the SEC, you were playing that every week for the most part. So, again, when you're facing that kind of competition week in and week out with that kind of physicality, you just have to have a different mindset week in, week out.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a fun year.
Hey,
and what's that?
Real quick, can you stop doing that, or it's just me because I can't stand looking
You don't
at
like
myself.
looking at yourself?
I can't stand
come
looking at
on, man!
myself
You're the
while
star. You're the star of the show, man. I'm back McAnally.
Because I'm like, I see myself. I'm like, oh shit! I'm starting to look down.
Yeah, man, you're doing great. You're doing great. All right, I won't. I'll do maybe you big and me little, but I'll stay on the screen. All right. Well, I want to throw this up here and get your thoughts, but before that, I want to tell everyone again that we are presented by none other than MyBookie. We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Drive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience with the action when the action is in your hands, and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using the promo code NEXTROUND and be revamped. And a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win with MyBookie. I know I butchered that, but my buddy he loves the roulette. He told me he went to bed with it's true this morning. He said he went to bed with $200 in his MyBookie account, and he woke up with $700. So he played some in his sleep, but all that stuff right there at MyBookie. All right, here, and use the promo code next round, guys. And now I want to bring this. I want to get your opinion on this right here. Okay, this is Malachi Moore at obviously at the golf tournament. Now, what do you think of this swing?
I wonder what Coach Saban's thinking right now.
Look at that. We got that off the this is shared from the next round. They do a great job. What about that?
He may have recruited him to Alabama, but he's damn sure not recruiting him to be paired with him.
No. Well, what's funny is that that's about how his mullet toss form looks.
Looks like he took lessons from LeBron James.
He's hanging out with Nick Saban, hitting golf balls like that. That's the cool thing about NIL, though, is that you can go out there and and do stuff like that, like go out and play golf with Nick Saban. It's so funny, but yeah.
I can't even imagine just Coach Saban. I'm the greatest coach of all time, but there's nothing I can do to fix that.
There's nothing I can do, right? All right. So that was kind of fun. But here, let's listen to what Coach DeBoer had to say about Alabama. And again, this is the next round where they do just a fantastic job of getting some audio. We won't listen to the whole thing, but just a clip of it.
Or what are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You're ready.
Yeah, that's cool. Good, everyone? Coach, just to be out here supporting Coach Saban and such a great cause, how does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what this is about. Coach Saban's done so much for the community, for the state, and this is one of those great causes that our whole staff is excited to be out here to support.
All right, I'm just going to pause it. Let's just chew on this as we go through. How about the fact that Kalen DeBoer is the type of person that can deal with the greatest of all time hovering around, like, and he doesn't even care. Like, hey, I'll be at your golf tournament. You can have an office at the stadium. Now, I've probably said this before, and I'll say it again on here. And this is, my opinion. When Christy Curry took over women's basketball, they didn't want Wendell Hudson around, and that's much smaller scale. But I didn't like that because that's just not the way we do it, Yeah. This guy is coming in. He's got Nick Saban there, and he's like, hey, you know what? I'll play in his golf tournament. I'll do anything that the guy asked me to do because I'm secure enough in what I do that I don't care.
I'll share this and I don't think Kane would care. Actually, the reason I'm going to share this is just because I respect the approach so much. I think it says a lot about Kane and Kalen. But I was talking to Kane Monday, and he said, I want Coach Saban to feel like this transition is done in a way that, he feels comfortable with it, and he's happy to be around the program and still feels like he's involved out of respect for Coach Saban. I think that's the best way you could possibly move forward with that transition and Coach Saban leaving. And he said they've been meeting to go through Kane's style and his approach to defense and how that relates to Coach Saban's, and also just how to transition kind of the verbiage and the language within the defense and how to transition those schemes to where the players now will understand what Kane wants from them. So he said he's been going to Coach Saban's office up in the stadium a pretty good bit, and it's kind of funny. He was talking about he got the board that the whiteboard that Coach Saban's been using for years, and he got it moved over to Coach Saban's office. He said that board's a decade old probably, and he's like, yeah, I was writing up on the board, and I guess I guess I just forgot to erase, some of the schemes I wrote up on the board one night, and I went there the next day and I tried to erase it, and it wouldn't come off. And he's like, I'm getting all nervous trying to get this off before Coach Saban comes in there, and I'm, trying to clean his board, and Coach Saban walks in and he looks at it and he watches Kane trying to clean it, and he goes, you probably ought to erase that shit every time you're done with it. That wouldn't be so funny, but coming from Coach Saban and just I know the way he delivered it, just made Kane feel about that small.
Yeah. Well, there's stuff that he can do that nobody else can do, but that's part of his personality. I mean, that's kind of what makes him is the fact that what you're getting with Coach Saban on a day in and day out basis. He's a guy who is going to tell you the way that he sees it. He's so programmed that you don't even, it's not personal. Not to say that is, but you know what I mean? Like, he's just the guys. I've never seen anyone like him where you could be so focused on whatever you're doing to the point where it doesn't matter how popular, how famous, how much money you have, still with the blinders on, taking a step forward every day to get to the goal that you're trying to get to. And they know that he's not going to come. If he says he's done, he's done. Like, they know he's not coming back to get his job. They're not so, insecure that they worry about, hey, what's he going to do? You know, trying to sabotage us behind the scenes and all that stuff. You know, he's legitimately going to help these guys become better at their jobs.
Yeah.
And everything he tells you is gold, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
And when he walks into the room, the entire demeanor of the room changes. You know, I mean, he's got this respect and swagger about him that I mean, you just don't see. And having said that, you know, I mean, I know you talked to Coach DeBoer at the mullet toss, and I've only talked to him twice, but you get this sense that there's this calm confidence about him where you're getting he is the guy you're talking to. You know, he's just got this way of communicating where you feel like, okay, this guy is about, you know, what he is about what he preaches. You know, I mean, he seems to be just a guy that relates really well to people, and you feel like, I know if I was sending my son based on just my first interaction with him, I'd feel pretty comfortable, you know, sending my son to play for a guy like that, a guy that's going to lead him and make him grow as a person as well.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I agree with everything he said. He's so genuine too, you know. And
well, you hear Terry on Arnold, you know, in that clip, man. I'd have loved to play for you, you know what I mean. And he spent a lot more time around him than we have, I'm sure. But you know, again, I think it's felt uniformly that he's a pretty transparent, good guy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The more he's around, the more I feel like he was the best. I felt like out the gate he was, you know, it was him or Dan Lanning, and I felt like we got the best possible outcome. But the more and more he's around, the more and more I see him, his messaging, the better I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's hear some more about what he said.
Coach, are you nervous that Saban's going to bring out Justin Thomas as a ringer today, or?
I think I'm sitting on one hole and not part of a team, so it'd be great to see Justin out here if that's the case. I'm out here to do it today. Be a lot of people.
This time of the year is kind of this kind of stuff, meeting people in the community back in Birmingham. You were in Birmingham like a week or two ago. What has it been like for you, kind of now that the players, it's not really on the field, it's more the off the field stuff? What's your emphasis going into this summer?
Yeah, I mean, that's been what May's all about. The coaching staff's been on the road and probably done 12 to 15 different types of events, and got one tonight and some more things tomorrow. So that's been a lot of fun, you know, getting to meet all the people that are passionate about the program, people that support of the program, and getting out, you know, around the community and the entire state.
Well, a couple things. All right. First off, he makes good money because he's wearing one of those shirts, those Tide shirts. And you know, those things are expensive. We both have one. Peter Millar. Yeah. Oh, Pete's expensive, man. Like, you better be making some good. Oh, yeah. He's making like 10 mil.
Yeah. Coach DeBoer's not using the room 20 passcode.
So a couple things. First off, one of the biggest criticisms that I had of Coach Saban towards the end of his career was I didn't think that he did enough local media. I told you that. You know, it was like I just felt like he didn't need it. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to deal with it. You know, so it wasn't on any of the local shows, right? The next round would get him once in a while at a golf tournament. This guy does everything, which we think that he should do this show, right? And I bet you he would. But I have so much respect for how he has come in and he's been ready to hammer doing all the local stuff and getting out in the community. Now, with that said, Nick Saban's also, you know, he's told us he was tired. I mean, you could tell that he just didn't have the same energy that he had in his 50s when he was 70, you know? And so I get that. And it's not a criticism as like, hey, Saban's a bad guy or anything. It's just, you got to do that stuff. And I think this is one of the reasons why he hasn't taken a step back, you know, or fallen into the trap that Brian Harsin fell into. This guy's come in 2 feet first.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brian Harsin, I think, fans of Alabama within the state of Alabama, whether it's Alabama or Auburn, it's so community oriented that, I think the fans will accept anybody and welcome them, into their program. But there is give and take there. You have to be willing to mesh with that community and get involved. And I mean, from all accounts that I've heard, Brian Harsin was not willing to do a lot of the things that Kalen DeBoer is doing right now. I mean, like you said, he's putting in a lot of effort to become entrenched in the Alabama culture, and I think that's what he needed to do. And literally, why I say I feel better and better about the hire, which I felt great about it to begin with, but he's done all the things that I think are required to be successful and really flourished in doing so. Recruiting from networking to establishing that base in the state. I think he's done everything as needed and more. So, I mean, he's really setting himself up again. I don't know what to expect from this season. I think it's going to be really, really tough to get all those guys from different teams to mesh. But if there's a guy that I think can do it, outside of Coach Saban, it's Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, no, I'm getting that same vibe too. And I guess with DeBoer, the one thing that I would say, this offseason, I would have done different. So I would have thrown the mullet. I would not have been afraid to throw the mullet at the mullet toss. Now I know their plane was delayed because of wind and they got there a little late, but Malachi and Jalen threw the mullet. You threw the mullet. I threw the mullet. Next year he's going to have to throw the mullet.
Man, I tell you what, if the players had that kind of form, I mean, if the players couldn't launch it, maybe if I'm a coach, I'm like, shit, maybe I need to sit back too. I don't want to look like that.
No, he's done so well. He has done so well. And, we kind of saw Nate Oats there. He's followed the same path as Nate Oats, where he's just come in and hit and just made connections with everybody, and I think that that's really important.
Well, what's crazy to me is, you think about the pre-Saban era. A new coach would not have had this kind of electricity around him. Alabama wasn't look. We had a lot of history. There's no doubt about it. But prior to Coach Saban, the Alabama brand was nothing in comparison to what it is now.
Yeah,
I mean, Coach Saban it's got a lot to do with Coach Saban, and I think it's really helped Coach DeBoer out having Coach Saban around to keep the strength of the brand what it is. But we wouldn't have all the publicity we have right now if it's not for the 17 years of Coach Saban. I mean, you look at the enrollment numbers, you look at the city of Tuscaloosa, you look at just the way that there's so many eyes on everything that Alabama football does. We're just in a completely different era. I mean, it's almost like we don't have the resources that Texas has, but people pay attention to what Alabama does on and off the field as much as anybody else in the country, and it transcends football.
Yeah.
So it's one hell of a spot. Coach Saban, you can say what you want about what he's done in the past, but it's hard to beat what he's built and what he's established for the state of Alabama, especially in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's finish that clip from the Saban Charity Golf Tournament.
What's the update on your family moving to Tuscaloosa? Are they settled yet? The girls here? What's the deal?
They're here, but we're not settled yet.
Okay.
So we're still making that move, and we have a home picked out, just not in it yet. So we're excited. It feels every day more and more like our family's getting kind of everything put in place. You know, my life is you got a chance to be out here today too, so it's fun for all of us to get some.
That's gonna be huge for you. Sorry, just have your what? Go ahead, Emily.
No, it's all. I was
gonna say, a lot of people probably have been telling you about how different it is, like asking you how different it is. Going out to some of these events, meeting the fans and everything, does that stabilize that whole entire thought? I mean, it's football, but I mean, just tell us where you're at.
Yeah, I think the level of excitement that surrounds Alabama football is different than any other place. And that's been a piece that I knew was going to be part of it. And it's just awesome. You know, you think about what the alternative is, and it's to not have that support, not have that passionate fan base. And so, you know, that's one of the things that makes Alabama football great. And it's been fun embracing it and enjoying it and being a part of it.
All right, there's your clip right there. I mean, that's kind of the money shot of this, right? Him talking about the fan base, what they bring to the table, and the enthusiasm. I mean, he was at Washington, and everybody there cares about football. They love football up there, except it's the Seahawks that they love, you know, and Washington's kind of second fiddle. Now, they do appreciate college football, but they're not passionate about it like we are here. He's probably never seen anything like Alabama football. Alabama football is more popular than Auburn football in Lee County, according to when I worked at Crimson Tide Sports Network. They told me that, you know, like surveys that they do. So that gives you an idea. Like even in Auburn's backyard, there's a ton of Alabama fans.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, the only Montgomery's pretty Auburn filled, but you know, I mean, it goes back to that conversation we had about the SEC. He and his conversations I've had with coaches, when I got to Florida State, that team that I played on, and you know, from the time I got there to the time I left, was an SEC school. I mean, that was an SEC team as talented as anybody in the country. And then, you know, we played again an ACC schedule, and I think it was kind of tough to. There's a lot of games where I think we played down to our competition outside of 2013. It's hard to get that intensity from playing an ACC schedule in comparison to an SEC schedule. I feel like it's the same on the West Coast, and I think the Big Ten is right after the SEC. But football is king down here. People, you know, they enjoy basketball. Baseball is a good distraction, but football is what people, you know, when January rolls around, everybody's excited about August. You know, they plan their schedules around it. They make sure they're watching Alabama football. And again, when you have more people at the airport to greet you after being hired than you did at your spring game, you know, that says a lot about the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
The difference in enthusiasm between the geographical locations, obviously. And then NFL, I mean, these states with NFL teams, we don't have one. You know, we don't have our main, really our sole sport is football here, and it's collegiate football. So I don't think you could bring in an NFL team in Alabama and have near the support that you have for Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah. You look good today in your Rowback shirt. Promo code ROOM20, 20% off Rowback gear. You've been looking at Rowback gear going, man, there's a lot of stuff that I need that they have on that website. So use the promo code ROOM20, 20% off your first order. But the white shirt, I'm afraid to wear. I got a white shirt too. I'm afraid to wear it because I'm so messy.
Yeah, a little too sloppy for white.
Yeah, I need an office job though, where I can. I'm in the field too much, you know.
Back there in the lab, getting dirty.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is with me. I don't know what my problem is. I carry a stain stick everywhere I go. I got one in my book bag. I got one in my suitcase. I got one in the car.
Yeah. Tied to go pin.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. You know, it's like I don't even know why I'm so sloppy, but I'm sloppy. Shameful.
Like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think Alabama's in a good place with Kalen DeBoer And and I love what he said. You went through this before, when you became Alabama's quarterback and when you won a national championship. You go down as, obviously, when the Fiesta Bowl, I guess what we call it, right? The national championship in Arizona ended. All of a sudden, like, you're a legend. Derrick Henry's a legend. I mean, think about it. I mean, seriously, like, you did it. You did the thing that we all think that you should do every year. We think we should win every year. It's never going to happen like that. But when you're the quarterback of a national championship team at Alabama, you're feeling that same enthusiasm from the fans that he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget. Third quarter, we had a drive. I think we went 3 and out. And I was playing really, really conservative in that national championship game. And I remember being alone on the sideline, just thinking, you got one shot at this. And, if you lose, you're going to be the first one, because nobody had lost. Coach Saban had never lost a national championship at that point. It's like, you're going to be the only quarterback that ever lost a national championship for Coach Saban. And getting here is great, but it's still a disappointment, and that's what you're going to be remembered for,
Wow.
And so
nothing like putting added pressure on yourself.
I mean, that's what went through my head, and I was like, either start throwing it around and, stop playing like you're trying not to lose the game and play to win the game. And I think the next drive there's a throw to Ardarius Stewart down the sideline, and I mean, I threw it way before he came out of his break. I knew somebody was coming and pressuring me, so just started slinging it around and not worrying anymore. If you lose, you lose.
You're the only guy to beat them in the national championship game, and we played them 3 times. So, that's something to say within itself, right?
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first of the 3 in that rivalry of 3 years. So I think we lost in the national championship. We played them 4 times, right?
Well, we played them in the playoff before. We split in the playoff, but it was the first round. It was the one we went to New Orleans. We beat them there. Maybe did we play them a 5th time? No, because they've fallen off since the transfer portal.
I don't think that Dabo took a single transfer.
He didn't, and that's what I was going to ask you about. And I know we're kind of wrapping it up right now, but he said that he had a whole bunch of transfers from high school. It said, can you do that? But he only had 2 guys transfer out. So 137 players went through spring and only 2 left. So he didn't take anybody.
Yeah.
That was the only school outside of Army, Navy, and Air Force not to take a transfer.
I mean, it's respectable for sure, but that line is pretty cringeworthy. I mean, no, I respect it. I mean, just keep it kind of a grassroots program and develop your guys and not rely on the free agency. But, at some point you're going to make some mistakes in recruiting and it could possibly cost you. But, you got to respect that kind of thought process for Dabo. I don't know how that plays out the next few years. I feel like Coach Saban was one of the first to adapt to that, and it worked out pretty well for him. But I don't know, Dabo. He's got a lot of strong morals, and I appreciate that as much as anybody. But that comes with a price in terms of winning games sometimes, and you're going to have to weigh your options there. But I honestly love that approach. I wish everybody would kind of do that. Maybe take a transfer here and there and not just flood the market with transfers out and transfers in and muddle everything up. I kind of think that distracts from the tradition of college football. But I have a hard time believing that that's going to be a good move in terms of longevity.
Right. No, I'm with you on that.
I mean, I think everybody would agree. Wouldn't you? You don't want guys transferring. You don't want to take a bunch of transfers, but again, that's the world we live in now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Here's the final thing today. Let me add this up here. Sidelines, Alabama. They do a great job. Andy, no, this is Jaden Rashada, the quarterback. He's a transfer at Georgia, was at Florida, then went to Arizona State. But anyway, he's suing Florida's coach, Coach Napier, and then some boosters over his NIL deal that he didn't get. So he was promised an NIL deal, he didn't get it. Now he's suing. This right here is interesting because if he's successful in suing, maybe that forces the NCAA to come in and regulate the way that these deals are given out.
Well, I mean, was there a contract in place? Was there guarantees? I mean,
I don't know, but I know that it was like 14. He said he was supposed to get like just under $15 million, and he didn't get the money.
See, I heard some reports on this. I think this is the guy. Is this guy out of Miami?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, because I thought I remember hearing Florida saying, they had $14 million in NIL funds or something like that, and that the kid took it as okay. Well, that $14 million's for me.
Right.
I mean, I thought I remember hearing reports of that. Maybe I'm way off, but I mean, how do you sue anybody if there's nothing inked on paper?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no legally binding contract that spells out any guarantees. I mean, if there is one, then yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But I don't know how you sue anybody unless there was something binding on paper.
Do you think, though, that he would not know that that they were talking about their entire NIL and not just for him? Or did they lead him to believe that?
Man, there's no telling nowadays. I mean, I think coaches don't know. They don't know what kind of money they're going to have in a year or two. You can't make those promises. That's one of the things I keep hearing is that these players, these high school guys, ask for guarantees, and that number is fluid all the time, and it has to change when you've got guys threatening to leave. You may have to pay them more.
Right.
I mean, there's a bucket, and without you getting a exclusive deal with a Dr. Pepper or a Roback or somebody, outside of the collective, then how are they going to guarantee you anything?
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's a finite amount of money that they can provide to their players, and that's always got to be – the distribution always has to be fluid because the circumstances always change.
Yeah.
So, again, I mean, lawsuit makes sense if you agreed to some kind of obligation and the money was clear on paper. But if that's not there, then you got no leg to stand on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
And so these kids, again, they're going to learn a harsh lesson that, they're in a business world now. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. You got to get it on paper, right?
That's it. It is what it is. That's what everybody in everyday life has to deal with. And it's going to be a rude awakening that you're going to have to deal with. So, and now the coaches have to be involved in these business transactions, and it's going to be a mess in terms of player-coach relationships, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, it's been fun, dude. I mean, we just put together a 45-minute podcast just like that.
Yeah, that flew by.
Yeah, it was fun. Again, I'm going to try to get this right, but we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The MyBookie Casino provides a Vegas-style experience when the action is in your hands, and you don't even have to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-on bonus using the promo code NEXTROUND, and revamped the loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win with MyBookie. And there's a lot going on right now. The NBA playoffs, you got Major League Baseball. And obviously international soccer is always popular. So a lot of stuff there. But then you can also do like they said, like I told you, Big Sexy Elmo's been playing the roulette. There's just other stuff you can do to have fun. He said he woke up with $500 more than he went to bed with. I don't know how he did that.
That's when you might have a problem.
Yeah, or you have fun. Just have fun, he said he started out with like a couple $100 and then just like it's just kind of that was where it's got up to like 1,500. So he just plays and has a good time. All right, let's get back together later this week.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
We'll talk about the schedule, but Friday would be good for me. So
okay, I think I can make that work.
All right. Well, Roll Tide to all you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Again, we appreciate Roback, promo code Room20. You can look just like Jake Coker there with that very bright white shirt. Or
I don't know if that's a good sales pitch.